welcome back to my channel. My name is Addie. I am a knitter and a stay-at-home mum, and I live in the southeast of the UK with my husband, my daughter and my dog. And this is a podcast or a vlog or a chatty video about knitting, mostly knitting. I've got a little bit of crochet to show today, but yeah, it's mostly knitting. It's mostly knitting. I'm here in an empty house, but I do have my dog with me who is asleep over there, so hopefully we won't hear any snoring. We have rid of the cone now. His stitches are out from his surgery and he is a-okay, all back to normal. No more vet's visits, fingers crossed, touch wood. But yeah, he's okay, and I might try and get some b-roll of him because I realise that I keep talking about him but nobody has actually seen him unless you've caught a glimpse of him on my Instagram stories, which I do pop him in every now and then, but he's fairly old and grumpy now. Right, I'll pop this down. I've got quite a lot to talk about today. It has been a busy old 2 weeks and I thought I hadn't got much done, but I was writing out my notes yesterday and somehow there is a lot of knitting here. I've got to try and kind of get through this fairly quickly because I usually film on a Tuesday and then that gives me the whole of Wednesday morning and the whole of Thursday morning to kind of edit, get any b-roll shots and kind of sort everything out and get it scheduled to go up on YouTube so that it's all ready for you guys at my usual upload time on a Thursday. However, yesterday I had to go and tour a school because my daughter is going into her first school year next year, and so I have to do all the application process and I have to do all the tours, and yesterday was unfortunately a day that I had to go and do that because the original tour that I had booked was last Thursday and she got conjunctivitis, so I couldn't go and do it then, so I had to rearrange it, and so now my week is a bit off. So I've got to kind of try and do this with as little editing necessary as possible because I have a day less to edit, but such is life and we'll move on. I have got 3 finished objects, 6 WIPS and a couple of acquisitions, well, quite large acquisitions because I went to the knitting and stitching show, not last week but the week before. I went on the Friday with my husband and it was a lovely day. The weather was beautiful, Ali Pali was lovely as always. It was really nice to go back. As I said in my last episode, I haven't been to the knitting and stitching show in 5 years and it feels like it's been such a long time. I mean, I feel like the last 5 years have been a very long 5 years for everybody, but because I also got married and had a baby in those 5 years, it kind of felt like it was like 10 years squished into 5. But anyway, yeah, I had a really lovely time. It was really nice to just spend some time with my husband as well because we don't have a lot of child-free days, which is not to say that I don't love my daughter, I absolutely do, but sometimes you just need a little bit of time to recharge your batteries and do something for yourself, and that doesn't happen very often for us. And so very, very grateful to my amazing mother-in-law for coming to stay with us for a week or so and looking after our little one on that day. They both had a wonderful time at home with the dog, and me and my husband got to have a lovely day out in London together as well, so you know, it all worked out for the best. Let's get into some knitting. So my first finished object, which of course is what I'm wearing today, so this is my jacket No.1 by My Favourite Things Knitwear, and I knit this in the smallest size. I used a 5.5mm needle, which is the recommended needle size, and I got gauge perfectly. I used a 4mm for my, did I use it for the ribbing? Yeah, I think I did. I think I used 4mm as suggested in the pattern for the ribbing on the cuffs and on the base and for the button band. and I knit this using World of Wool Isle in the colour Vela, which is this beautiful kind of completely solid, ooh, pilling a bit here. I have worn this quite a lot, so this isn't an accurate representation of what it looks like on the first wear because I've been wearing this pretty much non-stop. So yeah, so it's this sort of very solid grey and it's beautiful. And I was a little bit concerned when I was knitting this that the grey was going to be too solid and that I should have gone for something a little bit more tonal, but I mean, it seems to be absolutely fine. It goes with almost everything in my wardrobe and it's a really lovely layering piece. The weather has made a very, very vicious turn recently. We went from it being like almost 20 degrees to it being 2 degrees in the space of about 3 days. So this has been sort of everything that I wanted it to be, really. I initially knitted it so that I could wear it open and just over the top of a tank top or a t-shirt, just as an extra layer because the wind is a little bit chilly even though it's really, really sunny. But I quickly then ended up on Sunday wearing it over the top of another jumper because this has got so much positive ease. Like, this is my side and obviously over here is where the edge of the cardigan is, so it's very, very oversized, can definitely fit a full jumper underneath it. So yeah, I wish that this had a little bit less positive ease, however it has come in handy. So yeah, I did discuss last week how I was a little bit concerned about the shoulders slipping off my shoulders because I have got a very narrow shoulder compared to my bust size, and this is definitely, like, if I undo this, so it's definitely like on my shoulder, it's definitely staying on much more since it's been blocked and since I put the button band on. So that's a positive, that, and I can now take back my previous statement about it being a little bit worrying about it falling off my shoulder. It's obviously not going to fall off my shoulder now, but yeah, I wish that this had a little bit less positive ease because it is a bit of a struggle to get it on underneath my coat. It does kind of bunch up a bit, which is a little bit irritating because then obviously it makes the sleeves kind of do that. And I like the sleeves to be kind of over my hand, especially since I'm not really a glove wearer because I'm constantly having to like do coats up and get things out of my bag, all that kind of thing. So I'm more of a pull the cuff over and just deal with the cold, which is why my hands are also really, really dry. I really like it though. I think it's a lovely piece to have in my wardrobe. I think the texture was really, really fun to knit. I did get a little bit kind of towards the end of the body, I got a little bit like, oh, this is taking forever. However, I get like that with everything when I have to knit the body. I know a lot of people have that with sleeves and sort of get a bit fed up with Sleeve Island. I am the opposite. I always knit the sleeves first, and I actually quite like knitting sleeves because small circumference, they go quite quickly, there's not that much shaping, and yeah, I enjoy sleeves, but I get bogged down with bodies. And I think that may also have some contribution from the fact that I have a long body and short arms. So yeah, I don't know. Either way, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this did knit up very quickly. I think I spent less than 2 weeks knitting this. It's on 5.5mm needles and it uses an Aran weight yarn, so it is quite a quick knit compared to other things that I've currently got on my needles, which are fingering weight. So it's, yeah, it was an enjoyable knit. I probably won't knit it again because of the sizing issue, or I would have to do a bit of fudging with the numbers to try and get it to fit my body a little bit better, which is a bit disappointing for a paid for pattern. However, we move. So finished object number 2 is not knitting, it is crochet, and it's actually something that I picked up at the Knitting and Stitching show, and I did go with the intention of buying something from this brand, but not what I actually bought. So first thing that I saw and made a beeline for when we got into the knitting and stitching show was the Toft stand, and I think I did exactly the same thing when I went last time. Last time we went, I wasn't as much of a knitter, I was more of a crocheter, and since then that has flipped and I am now more of a knitter than a crocheter. And I was essentially gonna just go and have a look, but my daughter asked for a very specific present for Christmas. She has asked for a crochet apple. No, not a crochet. She has asked for a toy apple, and I looked online and I looked for toy apples, and I found one on Aurora and I found one from Jellycat, and they were both very, very small. I think they were about sort of like 9 centimetres, which is what, about that, and maybe just over 10 centimetres tall, which is really, I mean, I know she's only 3 and she's got very small hands, but I just thought anything that small is going to get lost in the vast baskets of toys that she's got in her bedroom already, or get lost in her bed, or she's going to drop it, or it's going to get lost in the bottom of a bag somewhere, roll under the seat in the car. Essentially, I just thought, right, anything that small is probably not going to be all that practical. We kind of need something a little bit bigger. And I kept scouring all of the toy shops, kept looking on Etsy, looked on Truva, everything that I was, like everywhere that I would usually look for things like this, and I just couldn't find anything. And I just thought, you know what, I'll just see if Toft have got a kit for an apple. And as far as I can see, they don't, so I have since made another one. But I thought, oh, I'll have a look when we go to the knitting and stitching show. Obviously couldn't find one because I'm not sure if there's one available. And I came across, whilst I was having a look at their store, their trick-or-treat kits. I just thought this was a really fun idea. I had no idea what was in this box. I assumed that it was a mushroom. I've since seen that their trick-or-treat boxes, they have a couple, so you essentially order off of their website, or if you're at the knitting and stitching show, you could just pick one up off of the stall, and you have no idea what's in it. There were a couple that had larger, more expensive kits, up to, I think it was up to £40 worth of kit in there, or there were lots and lots with different types of mushrooms, and I think there are 3 different types of mushrooms. There's a sporing mushroom, I can't remember what the other 2 were called. I'll see if I can pop it up here somewhere. But either way, I got the sporing mushroom in mine, which was a lovely treat because I haven't done some crochet in quite some time, and it looks like this. And I just thought this guy was so fun. It was really fun to crochet up. It was very, very quick. I think I got it done in maybe an evening and a half. I got a little bit confused doing the gills? Are they called gills on a mushroom? I'm not all that sure. I don't know. But yeah, these bits up here, I got a little bit confused on that. But they have some really useful how-tos on their YouTube channel. So I watched one of those, and then it was much, much clearer. We took this to a local sort of nature reserve, woods type thing. National Trust site, that's it, can't think today. Yeah, so we took this to a local National Trust site that we have been to a few times, and I took some photos of it there, which I will pop over here. And yeah, this has now been claimed by my daughter. She decided that she wanted it straight away, and I'm not surprised, to be honest, because who doesn't want a really cute little sporing mushroom? So yeah, here he is. I've got to hide my face to do this, haven't I? Hopefully that's in focus. There we go. But yeah, it was really fun to do some new techniques. Doing little bobbles on the top. The stitches used are all really, really simple. There's, like, I think it's a treble, a double crochet, there's some slip stitches in there, and the bobbles are explained really, really well as well. Yeah, and they have obviously got the how-to videos on their YouTube channel as well, so if you do get stuck, then there's at least support there for you. I have crocheted quite a lot, so I wouldn't say that I was a beginner, but I'd say that this could be for an intermediate or adventurous beginner, if you're willing to try again. But the joy of crochet is that it's a little bit easier to frog it and just pick it back up when you want to, and obviously like if your hook falls out, it's not as drastic as if your needle falls out and you lose all your stitches. But yeah, this was really, really fun. It was nice to like dip my toes into something different. Again, after it's been quite a while since I crocheted anything really. And yeah, this was really fun. So in the kit you get absolutely everything that you're going to need. So you've got all of the yarn, and you got tapestry needle, crochet hook, stuffing. Was that it? Oh, and you also get a printed pattern and also a little card with how to do all of your stitches, so with written instructions, and I believe there's a link on there to their YouTube video and their website and everything where you can get further help if you need it. And yeah, I've always thought that Toft kits are a really, really good starting place for crochet, and also just they're really fun because you get everything that you need in there. You get a printed copy of the pattern. I believe you can also get a PDF copy of the pattern as well if you order off of their website direct. And yeah, their yarns are really lovely to work with, although are slightly on the pricier side. But yeah, it's just been really nice to do one of these again, and I think I might dabble in a few more before the year is out. Yeah. Anyway, that is finished object number 2. This is really cute. I wonder if I can. I don't know if I can pop it somewhere. No, it's not going to stay up there. I'll have to just pop it back down here. But yes, that is my sporing mushroom, and I think it's really cute. Right, so finished object number 3 is a jumper for my daughter, and it is the self-drafted pattern that I was doing last time. I had cast on last time, and it was a swatch in my first episode. So it looks like this. There we go. It's a little bit creased because she has actually worn this a couple of times, and yeah, I knit this in Drops Daisy, which is this main colour here, which I've used for the ribbing on the collar, cuffs and bottom, and also on the stripes. And this beautiful boucle is from the Lonely Knitter, and it's her boucle DK in the colour Little Dove, and it was from the Ice and Fire collection that she bought out in the summer. So I used 4.5mm needles, and it's given me, I mean, it's not see-through, like obviously it's still quite opaque, but it's a really lovely sort of like loose drapey gauge. The fabric of this is absolutely wonderful, and despite this being a non-superwash merino, and so not as buttery soft as a superwash merino would be, it's definitely still next to skin soft. My daughter was a little bit, when she tried it on pre-blocking, she was like, oh, it's itchy on my neck, mummy, it's itchy on my neck. And then I gave it I was a little bit concerned at that, I'll admit, but I gave it a wash and a soak in some wool wash, and obviously got it dry and everything. And now she's absolutely fine with it. She has no complaints about it being itchy or anything. So I think it's just where it's needed to soften up in the bath. And yeah, she's actually enjoyed wearing this. She's not thrown any hissy fits about not wanting to wear it or anything. So hopefully that continues. I mean, at 3, they're kind of, she's kind of at that point where she wants to make her own decisions about what she's wearing and not necessarily wanting to wear everything that I put out for her. So I made this with that in mind, thinking this would be really lovely to go over the top of some of her dresses. She's got quite a few that have got like tutu skirts on them, so I made it so that you can still like tuck up the ribbing and sort of crop it a little bit so it fits, and she can still have her tutu skirts underneath, but it would still be really lovely and girly underneath her and over the top with her leggings and everything. And it's like in all of her favourite colours and all that kind of thing. What else did I have to say about this? Oh, so I measured my daughter, and then I found which of her measurements matched up best with the Yarn Craft Council's standards, sizing standards, and I found that her size measurements match up with an age 2 on their charts, even though that she is 3. And I think it's because she has quite a narrow chest measurement, that everything that I was knitting for her, like petite knit wise and everything like that, I was knitting her a size too big because I just hadn't measured her, and I was just assuming, oh, she's 3, I'll just knit age 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 to get more growing room. And I mean, they all still fit perfectly fine. It's like they're not an issue, but I think they were a little bit bulky on her and a little bit annoying, like when she had to put her coat on and things like that. So knitting a size smaller, I am slightly concerned that this won't fit next year, because I only put in 2 inches of positive ease. So there is that. And I believe that I may have to lengthen the sleeves a little bit over time. However, like, that's not a problem for me. And this fits her absolutely perfectly. And I think it's going to be a really well used piece in her wardrobe. I've made the stripes quite large. I mean, I think in hindsight I wish that I had made the boucle stripes a little bit longer and then made the pink stripes a little bit shorter to really emphasize the texture change. But I mean, I'm not really all that fussed. Like, she seems to be very, very happy with it. And yeah, it used barely, I mean, because it's knit at quite a loose gauge, it used barely any yarn. I used 2 balls, so 100 grams of the Drops Daisy, and I just eked into the 3rd ball, and I think I had 35 grams of the 100 grams of the boucle left. So really barely any yarn at all to make this. Enough so that I have enough left to kind of make her a couple of hair accessories and things to go with it. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. And obviously I've got some left over if I need to add in a little bit of extra length later on down the line. But yeah, so I made this for the chest circumference of 53 centimetres or 21 inches, and obviously with 2 inches of positive ease, or 5 centimetres, so that's what, 58 or 23 was as a finished bust circumference. And the same amount of ease in the sleeves, and then I've added in some lovely tubular bind offs on the cuffs and on the base, and a folded collar on the top, which I knitted down. I get really frustrated about sewing down collars. I would prefer to knit them down. I know that a lot of people prefer to sew them down because it's a lot more stretchy and you have a little bit more control. As of yet, I've never had a problem with sewing them down. I was a little bit concerned about this one not being as stretchy. However, with blocking, it's really kind of relaxed out and it's not too high up on her neck, which is good because I didn't want it to be sort of like all up here. I wanted it to be really casual, almost sweatshirt-esque. I did add the collar on after the fact, so I cast on and then picked up the stitches to knit the collar because I think it does give a little bit more structure. I do find a lot of the time, especially with kids knits, they really kind of stretch out, and my daughter has my narrow shoulders, and so I really didn't want that to happen because it just falls down. Oh, this does have some short row shaping in the back, so, and I've done all of that in the boucle, so you can see it here, how it shapes around the neckline, and then that first stripe is much more pronounced, much larger at the back. And I think that looks really lovely, and it really kind of pulls it down at the back, well, pulls the hemline down but pushes the neckline up like you would want with short rows. And I get a bit frustrated. I don't know if anybody else who knits for their kids or knits for kids in their life gets frustrated by this, but when you knit a pattern for kids and it doesn't have short row shaping in it, and it should, and you finish it and it's either like pulling down at the back or like pulling up and the hemline isn't straight, and I don't know, I get quite frustrated when it would be really, really simple to put in short rows, but the short rows are not there. And sometimes I will go a bit off-piste and put the short rows in because I know that it'll be more comfortable for her and it will be less irritating for me. I'm currently calling this the stripes of fluff, but that's only so that we know what I'm talking about when I say go and get your jumper. So yeah, that was finished object number 3, and that concludes all of my finished objects for today. And actually I think 3 finished objects in 2 weeks is pretty good, considering the fact that this was just a yoke which I then had to rip back and add in more depth, like underarm depth last time I showed it, and now it's a finished jumper. And I think I had the button band left to do on this, and the mushroom I hadn't even bought yet, so I think that's quite good actually, considering the fact that I really didn't feel like I had a lot of time over the past 2 weeks. Let's move on to some WIPs. So my first WIP is one that you have seen a couple of times before. It's my husband's hoodie, which is obviously under this massive pile of stuff, and my dog. And I've been making some slow progress on this. I'm knitting this in Drops Extra Fine Merino in the colour dark grey mix. And so far, oh, this is a self-drafted pattern. I haven't got a pattern for this, but I have knit this. This is my 3rd one knitting for my husband. I've also knitted 2, well technically I've knitted 3 for my daughter, but one of them I'm going to rip back and knit a smaller size for her because it's just a little bit too oversized. And I've also knit one for myself. So this is 3, 4. This is the 7th version of this that I have knit, not including all of the ones that I've pulled back and re-knit. So understandably, after the 7th round of knitting this, I'm kind of not done with knitting it. It's just it's not at the top of my priority list, and also because he already has 2 of these, and I have got another project for him on the go. It's kind of fallen down the list, but I have been making some slow progress. I think last time I showed you this I had split for sleeves, perhaps. Yeah, I think I had split for sleeves but not actually done a sleeve, and now we have got a sleeve. There we go. Please don't worry about this, this is just my lifeline because I had knit this once already for him, and I changed, so I've gone from just using his measurements to actually using like the standard sizing, so that I can like go up or down a size if I need to. And I also might knit one of these for my brother, who is not the same size as my husband, so I thought, oh, if I just grade it across all of the sizes, then if I want to knit one of these for my brother or for my brother-in-law or anyone else, then I've got the ability to be able to do that, and everything's just there and the pattern's all written up. So yeah, I have now got a sleeve in. The first time I knit this, the sleeve it had way too much positive ease in it, and it was very, very baggy, it was very, very cumbersome, it wouldn't fit under a coat or anything. And so the whole point in this is that it's wholly practical and can be worn with a coat, without a coat, as an outer layer over the top of something else, all of that. So it needs to have a very specific amount of ease, and I think now I have managed to nail that, so that's a positive. I got my husband to try this on and like test the cuff and everything, because he's got quite small wrists, which means that quite a lot of the times like a cuff ends up being too baggy, and I just wanted to make sure that this was going to fit him perfectly and fit all of the criteria that we had for it. But yeah, so we've got a sleeve, it's got some lovely tapering, so it's like a slowly tapered sleeve, still quite roomy, and we've got, once again, 2 billa bind off on the cuff. Got to try and hide my face. There we go. Hopefully that's focused. And the faux seam that was down the raglan is also down the body, up into the, where is it? There it is. So it's down the body, up into the sleeve, and then the decreases follow that as well. So I've got one sleeve, and I have got a little bit more work done on the body as well. So we're sort of, I think I measured it last night, it was about 8 centimetres down the body, and I need quite a lot more because it's for my husband and not for me. So yeah, I'm just plodding away on the body of this. I'm just going to finish my ball of hair in my face. I'm going to finish my ball of yarn and then probably do the next sleeve and then pop the hood on and then finish the body, and then it's just the button band because he has asked for a button band and buttons with this one instead of a zip. So yeah, it's just slow going. I'm using 4mm needles, 3.5 for the ribbing, and getting sort of around 21 stitches, 28 rows, very standard kind of DK gauge. And yeah, anyway, without further waffle, my next whip is my Stella quilt cushion by the wonderful Laura Penrose of Penrose Knits, and I saw this pop up on her podcast, and I just wanted to, I know that it's very similar to her Sweet Shop blanket, and I know from previous experience that I am not very good at finishing blankets. So when I saw this pop up, I thought, yeah, that's a really lovely way of doing the techniques and everything from the Sweet Shop blanket, but in a smaller, more compact size. And the pattern is so clever. It's so clever. Like, her brain is amazing. I've test knit for Laura once before. I test knitted her Petit Soufflé for my daughter. I knitted a beautiful orange, I'll pop a picture of it in here because I haven't brought it down from upstairs. I knitted her a wonderful orange pumpkin version, and went as far to put a little pumpkin button on the back. Unfortunately that no longer fits her. It would be really lovely to wear it at this time of year, but obviously can't if it doesn't fit. So yeah, in true style of test knitting for Laura, whereas last time I used a yarn that was literally called pumpkin, I am also using a very pumpkin-y coloured yarn, and this is what I've got so far. So it is this beautiful garter stitch quilting kind of design motif, and I love it. It's just, so this is the bottom of the cushion cover, and there are like 4 rows of these strips, and then the back is knit on the bias, and it's just amazing. Like, this pattern comes with so many options as well. So there are 2 star motifs to choose from, there are 2 gauges to choose from, and there are 2 openings to choose from. So this is star 1, there is also star 2, which I'll pop a picture of here, and there is an Aran weight and a DK weight, and there is an envelope closure and also a sewn closure, so one where you would do mattress stitch, or there's the envelope closure. And so I am knitting the star number 1 in DK with an envelope closure, because I did have a think about this and I thought sewn closure would be easier and quicker. However, this is quite a light, well, I mean, this is like white, isn't it? Or cream. And I have a dog and a 3-year-old running around, and things are going to get spilt. All of the cushions in this house get used very, very often. There is never a show cushion in this house. So I just thought, you know what, envelope closure, so that I can quickly bung this in the wash and wash the cushion. It's probably going to be a much more life-friendly option. So I'm really grateful that there is that option. So yeah, so I'm knitting this in Worth Mills DK, which is 100% British wool from Woolly Knit. Again, I think everybody's probably bored to death of hearing me harp on about Woolly Knit. I love them. Their yarns are amazing, and their colours are beautiful, and I'm always in awe of Woolly Knit. I don't think I'll ever stop knitting with it. Their yarns are also a really affordable price point. So I am knitting in the colours Pure Aran and Burnt Orange, and I believe, yeah, this one is blocked and these 3 aren't, because the joy of this pattern is that you can knit your first square and use it as your gauge swatch. So you don't really need to, so you're not really knitting a gauge swatch, but you are, which is amazing. So oh, I forgot, yeah, there are also 2 stuffing options. So you can either use a 40 by 40 centimetre pillow insert, or you can use a 50 by 50, and it just depends on whether or not you want a really plump cushion or you want more of a sort of like squishy cushion. So yeah, I'm just plodding away. I'm knitting this on 4mm needles. What else did I have written down about this? The pattern is due to be released, I think it's either mid-November or late November. I'm not sure. You'd have to double check Laura's Instagram or her YouTube. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this. I'm usually not a garter stitch gal. I tend to get, I wouldn't say bored, I just get a little bit kind of like, oh, this is just not very interesting, just garter. But this has got so many interesting design attributes. Like there's colour changing, there's picking up stitches, there's short rows, but everything's going in a different direction. It's just so cleverly designed that there is no chance to kind of get a bit like, oh, I'm just knitting garter. And so it kind of fits in for everybody. It's just really, really clever, and you know, you just sort of like, how did you come up with this? And just in awe of somebody. But yeah, I find that with all of Laura's patterns, they're all written really nicely. Like, she doesn't overwhelm you with loads of information. She kind of gives you the basics of what you need in a clear and concise manner without overwhelming you. So it's a really, really well written pattern. It's a really, really interesting design, and I 100% recommend it, and I can't wait to knit more. I had to actually sort of like force myself not to work on this last night so that it was in a form that I could actually show it. WIP number 3 is a pair of socks that I knit the first one of these in February, and then I put them down because it got too warm to wear them, and now I've picked them up again because it's gotten cold again. So it's just a pair of fingering and mohair socks, and I was knitting these mainly to use up my mohair scraps. So I have changed colour halfway down, it's probably easier to show you on this one actually. Changed colour halfway down on my mohair because I only had a little bit of this brown mohair left, and then I had like almost a full ball of this grey, and I thought, oh, I'll just use up the brown, and then whatever I have left of the grey I can use to knit a pair of fingerless mittens or something. So I'm also using some frogged Debbie Bliss, I wrote this down because I always forget what it is, Debbie Bliss Rialto luxury sock, in this, so it's in this kind of like variegated, let me see, sort of mild effect, sort of browns, pinks, greens, and I've thrown it all on the floor. And yeah, so it ends up knitting up like this. Right, so yeah, I just decided to use this to knit up some plain vanilla socks with some mohair just to keep me warm on the school run and just wandering around the house, because I constantly have cold feet. And so I've done standard like 60 stitches, cast on about an inch or so of 2x2 rib, and then I've got, I think it's like 2.5 inches of stockinette, slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, and then I've just done my gusset decreases, and I've just started on the actual foot of the sock, and I've just got a little bit further to go. I think I've got about 8 centimetres or 7 centimetres of foot to go, and then just my toe. So I'm nearly done with these, and I'm really looking forward to wear them. The weather has just taken such a cold turn now that I really am feeling the benefit of all of my hand knit socks, and I think these are going to be super duper cozy. So the mohair that I'm using is Drops Kid Silk. I have no idea of what the colours are because they were just scrap balls in my scraps basket. So yeah, I think they're going to be a really cozy addition to my sock wardrobe. Where should we go next? What are we on? WIP number 4. Okay, number 4. This is going to be a long one, I'm sorry. WIP number 4 is my stripes sweater, which has had quite a lot of love recently. I think last time I showed this to you, it maybe had 3 or 4 stripes on it, and now well, let me tuck this end spaghetti back in. Now it has definitely grown quite significantly. So I started off working on a stripe a day, and that was going really, really well until I split for sleeves and realised that I wasn't just knitting 8 rows a day, I was knitting 24 rows a day, and it's definitely been taking over a lot of my knitting time, and it was taking up like all of my time in the evening. And obviously I took on a test knit, I had other things that I wanted to knit as well, and so when it stopped being enjoyable, I have put it down for a little break, and I'm now not going to be knitting a stripe a day, but just a stripe when I want to, which, I mean, like, let's just take the stress out of knitting. Like, why am I getting stressed about it? It's a jumper, and I'm not going to enjoy knitting it if I'm stressed about knitting it and getting it done by a specific date. And I didn't really have a specific date to get this done by anyway. So I am now well into the body and the sleeves. So I've done 2.5 stripes on the sleeves, and I'm really, really happy with this. This is just serving up all of the colourful vibes that I needed it to. And although it is a complete mess down here with 3 cables and a lot of ends, it's so much fun. It's a little bit more cumbersome to knit now than it was when I was just doing the yoke, because there are now 3 needles and there are a lot of ends. So, you know, it's not for long. I am using the DRK stripes pattern from Andrea Mowry to knit this. and I've had to go up a needle size, so I think her recommended needles are 3.75 for the main body and then 3.25 for the ribbing, whereas I am using a 4 for the main body and a 3.5 for the ribbing, because my gauge is a little bit tighter than hers. I believe she knits continental and I knit English. Notoriously, English style is a little bit tighter, and so I've had to go up a needle size, which is fine because the fabric that I'm getting is so drapey, so beautiful, so light, and I cannot wait to wear this. I'm using the Ice and Fire collection minis from the Lonely Knitter, and they're all dyed up on the Luxe sock base, which is a 75-25, I believe it's merino and nylon base. And the colours that I have used so far, all of the details of this are on my Ravelry, including the weights of how much weight of yarn each stripe has used, in my project page. So there will be a link to that down below if you want a little bit more kind of info on how much yarn this is using and everything. So the colours I'm using are, so this is Rhaenyra at the top. This is always a bit cumbersome to try and get everything in focus and still see that I'm actually showing you what I want to show you. So this is Rhaenyra, this is the Lady Lena, this one is You Know Nothing Jon Snow, and then we've got the Red Woman. I always get this one mixed up. It's not in the Godswood, it's Unbent, no it's not, it's Breaker of Chains. This one is Lannister Gold. This is the Night King. This one is I Don't Plan on Knitting by the Fire. This is in the Godswood. This is Prince Damon. And so I believe my next colour is quite similar to this yellow. It's called Unbent, Unbowed, Unbroken, but it is a variegated with sort of flecks of dark ochre, lighter ochre, and there's bits of black in there as well, and it's stunning, but I have left it in my yarn box over there. So yeah, this is knitting up really, really well. I've not got that many colours left. I have realised that, so this pattern comes with a cropped version and a full length version, and I accidentally started knitting the cropped version when I thought I was knitting the full length version, so I could have done much more, much thicker stripes, and had all of my colours in there only once. I'm not overly fussed about having a cropped version. I think actually it'll fit in with my wardrobe a little bit better than a full length version. So what I plan to do is knit the cropped version for the body, but do full length sleeves, and all of these colours up here that I haven't, so up to here where I've done the Night King, all of the ones that I haven't used in the sleeve yet, I'm gonna put into the bottom of the sleeve in reverse order. So hopefully, if my arms are long enough, I'll finish on Rhaenyra and then have the cuff colour, and yeah. But yeah, I'm just keeping going whenever I want to work on this. I've got no pressure on it. Other things are just taking my priority at the moment. And yeah, that is my stripes plodding away. I may even have this finished next time. Probably not, but we can hope. WIP number 4 is, no, was that number 4? WIP number 5. WIP number 5 is my Peachy pumpkin socks, which I didn't show last time because I hadn't made any progress on them, but I have since made some progress. I took these with me to the knitting and stitching show, and I knit them on the train, and I also knit them in the queue and then sort of carried on from there, and they became my car project. So this is my first one. Had I finished this? No, I hadn't finished this one last time. So I had done the I'd done the cuff and the leg, but since then I have also added in the short row heel and finished the foot and the toe of this one, and it looks like this with these jolly little pumpkins. So sock number 1, and I have now started sock number 2, and I've done the cuff and I've done the leg and I've just done the heel, and I'm just about to start on the foot. So this is a pattern by Stone Knits. I believe it's in her Charming Colourwork sock book, I may be wrong, but it's also available as a single pattern on her Ravelry. And I am knitting the smallest size in these, and I'm using, dog's knocking things over, I'm using Vilcolana Arvetta in the colour Charcoal as my main colour. The orange that I'm using is West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the colour Nutmeg, and then the green is from a sock set that I also got from the Lonely Knitter, and which is no longer available. It was her Princess Diaries sock set, and it was the mini from that, and it's this beautiful sort of sea green. And yeah, so that's my Peachy pumpkin socks. Hopefully going to get these finished really soon and actually be able to wear them around Halloween as well. I've booked some sort of Halloween-y stuff for next week, which is half term, so hopefully going to be able to wear those then. And that concludes all of the actual knitting. There was a lot there. I have no idea how long this has been going on for. I'm really sorry if you've had to listen to me witter on for so long. But now I just have a couple of acquisitions. The first one of which is one that came from the Knitting and Stitching show, and I got so excited about this. It's actually my not my Christmas present. We've not got there yet. It's my birthday present from my husband. I was looking at it and I was umming and ahhing over buying it because it was, I struggle with spending money on things for myself, and it was quite luxurious, and although it wasn't actually a lot of money, considering what it was, and it was a really good deal, yeah, it felt like a lot of money to me. So it is this beautiful red yarn that I got from a stall at the Knitting and Stitching show. I think the stall was called Brian's Best Wools, or something along those lines, and it's a new to me yarn. I've never used it before. I'd never actually even heard of it before, so it's completely new. And it's by a company called, it says it's called Mayu by Amano, and I could be completely butchering this, and I do apologise. And it's 60% royal alpaca, 20% cashmere and 20% silk. And it's made in Peru. And oh, it's just so soft, which I assume is the mixture of the alpaca and the cashmere, making it really, really soft. And I'm just so excited to knit with it. So I got this in like a bundle of 10 skeins, and it's DK weight, it's 100 meters per 50 grams or 109 yards. So I've got just over 1,000 meters of this. No, I have 1,000 meters of this, and I'm not 100% sure what I want to make with it. It's the first time I've really bought yarn and not had like a project in mind when buying it, so I haven't bought a specific amount. I did consider making a Monday sweater by Petite Knit, which I already have the pattern for, but I'm not sure if I want a raglan. So then I considered doing a Lakes pullover by Ozetta, which I do already have a version of, but it's in an Aran weight yarn. It's quite heavy. I love it, I wear it all the time, but I was considering doing sort of like a lighter weight version of that, so I might swatch for that. But I would also love some suggestions of sweaters that I could get out of 1,000 meters of DK weight yarn. I don't really want to buy any mohair or anything to go with this because I want to just let this shine, so I'm looking for something quite plain, like a simple stockinette. And yeah, I don't know, I prefer a drop shoulder, but I'm happy with a round neck. Anything really. So if you have any suggestions, pop them in the comments below or send me a message on Instagram or whatever, because I really want to get knitting with this and I'm scouring Ravelry and coming up a blank. But yeah, so that's well, it was my main knitting and stitching show purchase. I did also buy like a couple of new cables from the Little Knitting Company, and obviously the kit from Toft. But yeah, other than that, I got this, and I'm so grateful for it. Yeah, it's probably one of the most luxurious yarns that I've ever had, and I'm so excited to have a garment with it. I think it's going to be so wonderful, and I think I'm going to wear it to death. So yeah, that is my birthday present from my husband as well, and I'm very, very grateful for that. One last acquisition is something that I bought for myself, and it is the, oh, everything is just covered in yarn. There we go. Right, it is the Loch-Limono 100% organic wool from BC Yarn, and I got 2 colours of this, and I got this to make an Alder sweater by Rebecca Clow of, is it Clow or Clow? I'm sorry if I am butchering your name there, I do apologise. As if she's watching. I mean, I don't think she does watch this. I'm not sure why she would. Of the Creabea, I have watched her for absolutely ages. I love her podcast. I think she's just a wonderful person to watch. And I think she's a wonderful designer. I love all of her patterns. And I decided I should probably just knit one. So I saw the Alder sweater come out, and I thought, oh, I need one of those really. It's all over textured raglan knit in the round with some short rows, and yeah, so I think I'm gonna get this wrong, I know I am. Her samples are knit in Sonder Early Morning DK, and I'll be honest, that was out of my price range, and I wanted a slightly more affordable option, and so I went for the Loch-Limono 100% organic wool from BC Yarn. And so I got the green, is called Pine Tree, yeah, and this is called Sand, and I got it from Tangled Yarns. And yeah, this is a new to me yarn as well. It's 100% non-superwash wool, and yeah, I'm excited to get that cast on in the future as well. And yeah, I think that's about it for now. I have seen how long I've waffled on for, and it's like over an hour, so good luck to editing me later on. Yeah, it's half term next week. Obviously we've got a couple of birthdays coming up, which is going to be good fun. I'm looking forward to a week at home with my daughter, and my husband's got a couple of days off as well, so we get to spend some family time together. I'm really looking forward to a week without an illness coming home from nursery. I feel like a lot of parents might be able to relate with that. Like, this term has just been an onslaught of every illness under the sun, so I'm quite looking forward to not having to deal with that. Yeah, it's my birthday at the end of next week. I'm going to be 30, which I have mixed feelings about, but yeah, there's that. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm just looking forward to getting some knitting time in, spending time with my family, and yeah, just carrying on. Got some fun things planned. We're going to like a Halloween themed farm day, and I've booked in like some pottery painting for my daughter. Evidently going to end up having to do the horrors of soft play and all that kind of thing, but yeah, that's what we've got going on the next couple of weeks. Yeah, thank you ever so much for watching me prattle on again about my knitting and yarn and crochet and all kinds of things. I hope you all have a wonderful couple of weeks, and get to spend lots of time doing all the things you love. hopefully not too much time doing things that you don't love, and I hope you get to knit all of the things as well. And yeah, I'm going to wrap this up now because I always make the endings really, really long and I don't need to. So yeah, I hope you all get to knit lots of things. Hope you all get to do some fun things, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks for more knitty chat. Right. Happy knitting!